Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Josh, back again with another, what I like to call story time. I'm pretty sure you looked at the title and said that this dude Josh, he just clickbaiting right now. I assure you that I'm not clickbaiting. This is 100% true story. All my stories are 100% true. I'm really just documenting the things that happened in my life or things that happened, in the past to me. But anyway, one of the pastors in the church, not the head pastor, but one of the youth ministry pastors in the church, I pretty much let him scam me out of $900 for some sneakers. So let me tell you how this began. This particular youth pastor, every Sunday, he will have on a pair of different Jordans or Yeezys. Sometimes he wore the Yeezy 350, sometimes he wore the Yeezy 700s. He has had, Dornbecker 3s, all the hype beat shoes and stuff like that. So, I will always take notice every time I would come into the church. So, a few months go by. I never really got a chance to formally introduce myself to him because, like I said, he leads the youth ministry, which is like kids under 16 or younger. So he never really led the church service. Anyway, though, so one day after church ended, we walked downstairs and going out the door. I saw him with the Dornbecker 3s on. So, I stopped. I introduced myself and I told him, I said, yo, those are dope. I don't really see too many people with those. He said, oh, yeah. He said that, I got these a few years ago. I got it from, my connect from overseas. I got a few connects overseas because when I was in the military before I got into the church, I made a lot of connections with a lot of different people. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I said, that's how you get your exclusive sneakers. He's like, yeah, that's how I get a lot of my exclusives. I said, yeah. And I told him, I said, I've been looking for something like that. And I said, honestly, I wish I could get my hands on the Dornbecker 6s that were re-releasing. He's like, oh, cool. He said, well, maybe I can help you out with that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I could give you, try to get you a nice discount on those, since you are a member of the church. So I'm like, really? Can you really do that for me? So he's like, yeah, I can definitely do that for you. Just give me your phone number and, give me your size and stuff. Text me your size or whatever, and I'll hit up my man overseas and see what I can do for you. So I'm like, okay. So we exchange numbers and stuff like that. I text him, the size of the shoe that I need. I wear a size 12 when it comes to Jordan Retro 6s. So I text that to him. All right, cool. So, we shake hands, we go out the door. So during like the middle of that week, like Tuesday, Wednesday or whatever, I get a text from him. He said, hey, I spoke to my guy overseas. He says that he can get you the Dornbecker 6s, no problem. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, all right. So I'm like, how much? So I'm expecting that he's going to ask for like $800 or $1,000 for these. So even though I'm excited with the possibility that I can get these shoes, I'm not willing to pay that much money for them. I just refuse to pay that much for a pair of shoes. But to my surprise, he was like, I could get you that pair for $400 plus $50 for shipping. So I'm like, so you give me a pair of Dornbecker 6s in my size for $450. He's like, yeah, no problem. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now, with him being a pastor of the church, I pretty much skipped all my, I skipped the due diligence that I usually would do on a complete stranger. The reason why I did that is because I'm like, well, he's a pastor of the church. Why would he lie to me? I'm one of the members of the church, so why would he risk, setting a bad example by scamming me out of my money? Because I wouldn't have no problem spreading that around the church at all. I'm not a messy person, but I'm telling you right now, you're just not going to take my money. So I did not do my background search on him. I didn't ask all the usual questions that I usually would ask before I give somebody the money. So with that being said, he told me $450. So I said, okay, no problem. So I said, well, I got it right now. I can give it to you. You know, I can give me a PayPal information, I'll send it to you. So he was like, well, you know, my PayPal right now is a little bit messed up. I don't really use it. Can you Cash App it to me? I should have known that was a red flag. But, like I said, I trust him. So I said, okay, no problem. Cash App them $450. So he said, okay, cool, no problem. I'll put the order in for you right now. Give me a few days and I'll give you an update. So this was happened on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. So that Sunday at church, when I saw him, and at the end of the church service, we started talking. He said, hey, good news. My man already secured the pair for you. You know, they'll be to you within the next couple of weeks. So I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. So he was like, but in the meantime, he said that, you know, if you want to really make this worth your while, are there any other shoes that you want to get? So I said, well, what do you mean, like, make it worth my while? So he said that I charge you, you know, charge you $400 for the shoes, but I also charge you an extra $50 for shipping. So instead of you having to pay the extra $50 every time you want a pair of shoes from me, ask for what you want right now so you can get, you know, 10 or 20 pairs of shoes and only pay the shipping price of $50 one time. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, well, I don't really have, you know, 10 pairs of shoes that I really want to get right now, but, you know, the Yeezy 350 Clays just released like a couple of weeks prior. And I said, I really want to get my hands on, you know, 2 pairs of those, you know, one pair to rock and the other one, you know, to resell. So he said, okay, no problem. He said, you know, let's do the same thing. Text me the size that you need and I'll talk to him and I'll get back to you and let you know. So I'm like, all right, cool. So, you know, I text him, I need a size 13 in the Yeezys. A couple of days go by again. He hits me up on Tuesday. He's like, hey, good news. He can get you the Yeezy 350 Clays. So I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. How much for the Yeezy 350s? So he's like, okay. He said the Yeezy 350s, I'll get them both for you for $500. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Cause you know, I think, you know, Yeezy 350s after taxes come up to like $240. So just a little bit above retail. So I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. So I cash him out the $500 for the Yeezys. So in total, I have already given him $950. So a few more days go by. I see him again at church that following Sunday. He's like, hey, my homeboy is putting the package together with the sneakers that you ordered and the sneakers that I ordered. They should be to us within the next 3 weeks. So I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. So 3 weeks go by, and even though I see him at church for the next 3 weeks, you know, I see him after church and we'll start talking about, you know, other things besides the shoes. Because at this point, he told me 3 weeks that the shoes will be there, so there's no need for me to ask him every single day or every single time I ask him, oh, when the shoes coming, when the shoes coming. 3 weeks. So those 3 weeks go by and we're in that third week. I don't hear nothing from Monday to Saturday. I don't get no text, I don't get no call from him. So I'm like, okay, that's no issue. I'll talk to him Sunday. So Sunday, I go to church. He's not there. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll text him, you know, after church. After church got out, I text him at like 2 o'clock. No response for the whole day. So I'm like, okay, you know, he probably busy, you know, taking care of family stuff or whatever. So, you know, at that point, I'm not really pressed about it. So I let a whole nother week go by without, you know, texting or calling him again. Because I'm like, well, you know, I'll see him Sunday. Go to church Sunday. He ain't there again. So I'm like, okay, let me give him a call. So I'll call him after church. No answer. I text him. I text him as well. No answer. I never get a call back or a text back at all that day. So at that, something just told me, you know, jump on Instagram and, you know, look at his page. Seeing the last time he's been active, you know, maybe I send him a DM, he'll answer that way. So I hop on Instagram, go to his page, and I see that he, just recently closed on a new house. I'm like, huh? So I'm looking at, reading the caption, and he's like, thank God I had enough money to, put the down payment on my new beautiful house. And so I'm sitting there and I'm reading this. I'm like, did he just take my money and use it to put a down payment on a house for him and his family? I'm like, I'm just sitting back amazed, like, oh my, like, how can I play myself? How can I let him play me like that? And, so at this point, I'm like, yo, I can't believe that this dude is really trying to play me. Like, you don't understand, bro. I understand that you are a pastor, but at this point, I'm gonna put hands on you. And it's like, I feel bad for having those thoughts because you are a pastor, but I have no problem fighting you at church over $950. Now, I'm pretty sure if I put hands on you, I'm pretty sure when I get to them pearly gates and Peter's standing there, he gonna be like, hell nah. You going downstairs. You fought a pastor at church. Oh no, you going down there. But at this point, I'm mad enough. I'm willing to risk my eternal soul for some J's. So, after seeing that post, I showed Jessica. I told her, I said, yo, I gave this man $950 to get me some J's, and he didn't deliver. Instead, he used that money to put a down payment on a house. And, of course, she instantly got pissed off because, once again, I was hiding another pair of shoes from her because I never told her about this transaction, but I was so upset at the time after seeing him post his new house that I slipped up and I told her, and yeah, she went off on me. She went off on me. But, after she went off, she was like, well, when we get to church, we need to talk to him. We need to, get the money back or get the shoes. We need to get something. So, 2 weeks went by. I still didn't see him. And then one day I just get like a random text saying, hey bro, sorry about the delay, stuff been crazy or whatever. I just talked to my, so I just told him, I said, listen, I don't really care what's going on with you and your guy. You gave me a date of when these shoes would come. I didn't hear nothing from you. I didn't see you at church. I got no call, no text, no email, no pigeon email, no nothing. So I said at this point, I said, I don't really care how you get your money from him, but I need my money from you because I gave you my money. And he was like, oh, you sure you don't want to give it another week? I said, no. I said, I don't want to give it no more time. I said, I don't have time for it. I could be using that money for other stuff. I said, I need my money back. So he was like, oh, okay, just give me a few days. So I gave him a few days, but every single day I made sure I text him, asked him, hey, any update? Any update? So finally, by like the 4th day, he was like, oh, I got, the 450 for you right here. I can, send it back to you right now. But the rest of it, can you give me a few weeks on it? I gotta wait till, I get my paycheck and stuff. I said, whatever. I said, whatever you gotta do to get my money back, I don't care. I said, I'll take the 450 now. So long story short, that was a lesson well learned. It doesn't matter who you get shoes from. I don't care if you're buying them from Jesus. Make sure you always do a legit check on that person. And